I think we have to recognize that President Moon has done an excellent job of negotiating with Kim Jong-un. A lot of people look at the Panmunjom Agreement from April of 2018 and say, oh, it's just not very strong on the nuclear issue. But I think they miss Article 1.1 of that agreement, which says that North and South Korea will fully implement all previous agreements and declarations. The 1992 Denuclearization Declaration says that neither North nor South Korea will have nuclear weapons or any means of producing nuclear weapons. And so when Kim Jong-un signed the Panmunjom Agreement in April of 2018, he was in violation of that very agreement he was signing. And he continues, in fact, being even in more violation. We have to recognize these kinds of issues of the North Korean intent. And we have to ask, how do we get to peace? Because I'm sure for everyone, certainly for me, peace is key on the peninsula. But peace is two-sided. And while North Korea constantly criticizes the US for being hostile towards North Korea, I have to ask, which side is more hostile? Do Americans train our people from the time they grow up that North Korea is our enemy? Heavens no. Most Americans would be happy to be friends with Korea. If we really want peace, we need to get North Korea to agree to stop that kind of indoctrination and to treat the United States no longer as an enemy. But that's very hard for a society which needs a scapegoat. So there are fundamental changes which are needed, and we as allies need to work towards those changes if we want peace. And I think that's what we all want. Thank you.
If you ask me that how do you evaluate current situation, especially regarding the alliance, I think it is very serious. It is very serious. I do have a very serious concern about the current alliance. It's not because of the so many issues, like we have so many issues, SMA, of contribution, not because of that some of the issues, but because of our perspective on this threat. And do you have the same threat, the perception? And do you think that what is our number one threat? So that is the first button. You should have agreement, or you should have a consensus on the threat. That actually, if you have that the first button correctly, the button, then I think the other alliance issues will be solved in any way. Because we still maintain the alliance, and so right now we are very serious situation, and we need to think about how we come together actually address that threat perception issue first. And then you need to think about that the current strategic environment surrounding the Korean Peninsula. Everything is changing. It is changing quickly, and how together we do address that challenges. You need some consensus on that the strategic situation and the perspective, opinions on the surrounding the Korean Peninsula. And so I do recommend that the US alliance need to make it clear that our threat perspective, threat perception, and then we need to think about how you can evolve this current alliance into the future alliance, into the new alliance. I may say Alliance 2.0, and we need to not only North Korean threat, we need to address that the threat from our neighboring countries, and that alliance should be Alliance 2.0 should be stronger than today, and should be better positioned to the future challenges that we are facing in the future. Thank you.
We really need to think about this in I think a broader context. You can use Teddy Roosevelt's statement, speak softly and carry a big stick. And that does not mean that the alliance has to be provocative to North Korea. In a real sense, you have to use all of the elements of national power from both countries to bring North Korea, a very serious threat, who violated every agreement that they've ever signed, who in fact are still developing nuclear weapons, who in fact have intercontinental ballistic missiles and pose a serious threat globally. Secondarily, you have to look at the alliance in a strategic context. The alliance in a strategic context is not only for the peninsula, but it guarantees peace and security in a very important part of the world for all of us, and that's Northeast Asia. I think, thirdly, when we think about the alliance, we have to think about it in the context that no matter what we do, we don't want peace at any price. We want peace that is truly peace. Never give up freedom and democracy to sign a faulty peace agreement with an adversary who, as Bruce Bennett says, has the same goal in mind, and that's domination over the Republic of Korea and its people. So in that context, as we look at the growth of this alliance, and it has grown, it's a very mature alliance. You know, many people look at the ROK-US alliance, especially those who have not been part of it over the years, as a big brother, little brother alliance. It is not that at all. It is equal partners who have the same goal in mind, who in a real sense, as General Shin said, go together, and we have to continue to go together. And that does not mean that there will not be disagreement. Even in families, there are disagreements, but good families figure out what those disagreements are and how they bring things together so you have a happy solution. There will always be disagreements. There are disagreements in every alliance and every family that if you truly want to keep it together, you work through the major issues, and there are always major issues. The other aspect of it, and it's a lesson learned for me anyway over the course of the years, that when disagreements are, and I won't say solved because they'll never solve, when they're brought out and discussed openly rather than between the two partners, they become issues that don't have to be as flammable, if you will, or volatile as they would be if they were discussed and solved. So how do you solve all those things? How do you think about going OPCON transition, which is one of the issues that General Sharp raised in the question? Well, we had a blueprint for OPCON transition. And in a real sense, the blueprint was tied to many various milestones. When you reach that milestone, we should do OPCON transition. And it's not a matter who leads, it's a matter that we are together as we go forward. And once again, my bottom line to all of this is the most important thing that we, as those who support the alliance, the most important thing that we have to think about is peace and stability on the peninsula, in the region, protection of the people of the Republic of Korea, protection of the peninsula, and how we go forward, how we keep the alliance together. Because the linchpin, and I use the term linchpin, the linchpin of our alliance has been the CFC and the military part of the alliance, when everything else is, there's lots of discussion on and issues associated with the alliance. The CFC has kept everything together. And remember, as General Sharp pointed out initially, you have many elements that the commander is responsible for, but the fighting element is a Combined Forces Command. And the Combined Forces Command, which are ROK brothers and American brothers fighting side by side or deterring side by side every day, every night, and being ready to fight tonight. Thank you.